Do you need an accountability buddy? Hey, what's shaking bacon? My name's Bruno Panucci. I hope you're doing well. So for people who are struggling on a carnivore diet, whether it's a little challenge they want to do for themselves, or they're very experienced but they want to try something a little different, or even if you're just trying to be strict on a carnivore diet and raise your level from being inconsistent to extremely consistent, or somewhat strict to extremely strict, because you still have a ways to go in your health journey, or it's just for some reason something you want to accomplish, I want you to keep in mind, you don't need to do it by yourself. That's probably why you listen to videos like mine about carnivore. That's probably why you follow certain experienced carnivores in the carnivore world, because you're looking for not necessarily just guidance, but a tribe, a support team. Maybe you found one or two people in the carnivore space that you can really identify with and relate to, and they help you along. Now, before I go much further in this video talking about how great an accountability buddy can be for you, I want you to keep in mind, more than anything, this little bit of tough love I'm about to give to you now. The buck stops at you and nobody but you. You control everything that goes in your mouth. Everything. You can't blame your partner. You can't blame your children. You can't blame your work environment. You can't blame your schedule. You can't blame anyone except for yourself. Now, that being said, and maybe you need to listen to that little section more than one time, the buck stops at you. You need to appreciate it's all under your control. But you have to sometimes, now that that tough love is gone, now, sometimes you have to maybe get support from other people, because it might be just too much for you to handle in the beginning. Now, eventually when you get old hat with it and it's easy for you, for me, it's really easy sticking with a very strict carnivore diet. As I've said in lots of other videos, not a lick, taste, or bite of anything off a carnivore diet. And it's been since 2021, I think January 2021. Now, it's easy for me. It's effortless. Did I get there on my own? No. I found people out there that were relatable to me. For me, it was Kelly Hogan. I heard lots of people when I first learned about carnivore. I had a couple friends that were doing it. I saw the Dr. Sean Baker interview on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he dropped a bunch of different names. And out of all the names he dropped, I checked out Kelly Hogan. I checked them all out. But Kelly Hogan, her story was the one that related to me. And she wasn't popular at all in the carnivore space. She was in the very small carnivore space. She was one of the OG carnivores, but I could relate to her story and her background with the sugar and carbohydrate addiction. I could relate with the health issues that she had. Now, I heard her talk about it. She only really had a website at the time. And I remember thinking like, wow, I could relate to this. I could relate to her relationship with food. She started actually promoting YouTube videos after a while, and her Instagram. She got more active in those types of social media. And a while later is when I found out about it, and I started following her. And I found that support beneficial. But ultimately, I had to make the decision at one point to suck it up, take responsibility, and accept the fact that I needed to do this. I could get all the support I wanted, but until I wanted to make that decision for myself, which is what you got to do as well, to be 100% strict, at that point it was easy. And that support that was there, kind of like a cheering squad in a lot of ways, right? They're there to help you along. They want to give you everything that's there for you. Sometimes what's important when you have these people around you in your life is not just the support they give, but you don't want anyone adding complication to what you're trying to do. Maybe the help you need isn't someone who's going to be like, yeah, you can do it. That's not really helpful for some people. What they need is people to help set them up for success. The difference between a wish and a goal is a goal has a plan. A wish is just like, I want to be a strict carnivore. And that's not really going to get you very far. You have to figure out your weak points. You have to figure out your strong points. You have to figure out what is wrong in your day-to-day schedule, which is preventing you from being what you want to be in this carnivore world. Now, that's your little carnivore world I'm talking about. And if you need to be 100% strict, but you can moderate with a bite of a cookie because your kids want you to have something like that, whatever your reason is for being 98% strict or 80% strict or 100% strict, That's the goal you want to attain, and that's the goal you want to maintain. And you need some support with that. So I want you to find someone, usually your partner is a good person. Just make sure they're not going to let you sabotage yourself, ideally, and they're not going to sabotage you. Good luck trying to start a carnivore diet and being strict with it if they're sitting around eating ice cream in front of you the whole time. It's possible you can get over that hurdle, but for a little while, it doesn't hurt to ask for their support, to be like, look, I'm not expecting you to do this carnivore diet, but don't do this stuff in front of me. It's bad enough I know all the stuff's in the fridge and I'm trying to show willpower to not go into it in the fridge or cupboards or the freezer, but you know what? Just don't let me see it. Don't let me smell it for a little while. Don't let me experience it around me until I get to the point where I can manage it. And I am at that point where I can be around any junk food. It doesn't tempt me. I could smell the most delicious pizza in front of me. In fact, I made pizza for someone just a few weeks ago, and a couple times. It doesn't faze me at all. I just don't taste test it. That's a little weird, making something and not taste testing it, but I have no desire. You know what I do when I'm making one of those pizzas? I'll cut the sausage and just start eating the sausage, or I'll have a little bit of the cheese if I'm allowed to do that based on what type of carnivore I'm doing at the time. But those are foods that are allowed to be in a carnivore diet. And some people do such a strict version of carnivore, and I've done it many times in the past, where it's strict lion diet. And we've even done that with no extra added salt. And you know what? At that point, I'm trying to do something just to see how my body reacts. And you don't need to do that the rest of your life. Maybe you do for your own health reasons. But for the most part, you're going to be able to do this, and you want to have the support of people around you. But maybe you're not going to get that support. Maybe you live on your own. Maybe it's just you and kids, or a spouse that's not really supportive but not really fighting you on it. And you need to find someone out there in the carnivore community that you can rely on to help be your reliability buddy or your accountability buddy. So what I recommend is finding a carnivore out there that is accomplished already and is very comfortable with where they are, with where you want to be. If you want to find a carnivore who does strict lion diet, I really recommend seeing someone out there, other people out there who are that strict, who don't say they're that strict, but they still have a slice of pizza every now and then, or they still have a drink of alcohol every now and then. I'm talking about finding someone who is that committed. Now, lots of these carnivores out there in this carnivore space, and I don't knock them for it, don't get me wrong, but they're not quite as strict as maybe you want to be. And I look at certain people who acknowledge that they have an addiction, like Kelly Hogan, and I recognize that. And addiction kind of knows addiction. And when I hear her talk, I can tell that she honestly doesn't have anything off of a carnivore diet. You want to try and find those people to give you that momentum, to help push you up a hill. Maybe they're not even pushing you. Maybe they're just walking beside you, giving you some encouragement. Maybe they're saying, hey, watch out, there's going to be a big speed bump on this hill or some sort of pothole. You might want to deviate around it because they've been down that road. Follow their advice and take it 100% serious. They know the pitfalls and they know the complications you can have when you're trying to one-up your carnivore game. And some people, it's not a lack of willpower, but does your willpower surpass the amount of addiction that you have with carbohydrates and sugar? Maybe it can for a short while. Maybe you've just never done it long enough to be consistent at it. And maybe you've only done it for a few weeks or maybe a couple months at a time. And for you, that's not long enough to get rid of that sabotaging attitude you have by giving into that food or justifying it. This is one of the worst things you can do, justifying a treat or a reason to have something off a carnivore diet because you've been good. No, it doesn't work that way with addictions. You don't hear about smokers saying, you know, I've been good for the last 2 weeks. I haven't had one cigarette. I'm going to celebrate with a cigarette this weekend. That's not how it works. You need to appreciate the depth of your addiction and how you can get better at managing your addiction. And managing it for some people is abstaining from it. So keep in mind, find someone that you can relate to that is where you already want to get to, and see whether it's just watching their content or keeping in touch with them on social media. There's probably lots of people in Facebook groups or on Instagram that you can follow who are that strict. And maybe it took them a while to get there and they can help you along your path. But more importantly, more than anything, remember, you're accountable. They're just there to support you. And you can support them. And then you can help other people. And that's really what this is all about. When you own your addiction, eventually, once you get over that hill, you want to show other people how to get over that hill. And that's why I do what I do with these videos, because more than anything, it's an accomplishment to be able to say you're strict carnivore and you aren't tempted by any of this food and you want to help other people. It's a wonderful place to be. So thanks a lot for paying attention. I hope you find this video beneficial. And if you do, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Take care.